lashes. Yeah, it's cute.
Yeah, it's fire. I cannot lie. Cause
What's up, y'all, and welcome to my masterclass. So today we are working on my beautiful client Kelly, and we're doing like a little Bratzy glam, very cutesy, very girly, very demure. We're just keeping it very cute, soft, but still very glamorous for today. So we're currently working in the crease shade. This is our darkest shade, of course, and I am using my Morphie M507 brush. Love this brush for the crease. Love this brush for eyeshadow in general. So we're just using this brush and working it in a V motion in the outer corner, and we're just kind of really buffing and blending that in to create this like very smoky look in the eye. And with doing your eyeshadow, I really want you to pay close attention to how I'm building up that crease, and we're working in very like small and tight motions. As you can see, my client has a lot of lid space. However, keeping things like small and tight really helps keep things under the control, so everything doesn't just go everywhere and the result of the look just gets too muddy. Then once you finally have your crease blended out to your liking, you can then go in with your lid shade, which will be typically your lighter shade. And you can really use any kind of brush for this. I think I'm just using a flat like elf brush, but you can use pretty much any flat brush for this. I also do like to use like my Morphie M507 that I just used for the crease too. That's a very like universal eyeshadow brush, honestly, but I'm just going in with my flat brush here. And as you can see, we are just patting that shadow into the skin. We're not really swiping too much. You could really just build it up and like go back in for more product to really like make that color like a little bit more brighter and like more pigmented, but just kind of pat and work it in, and you're going to take that all the way up to the crease, to your actual crease of the eye. And you're also going to take it over and blend that into your crease shade. And of course this is optional, but it would not be a Bratz look without any glitter. Duh. I believe this is the ColourPop little like eyeshadow toppers. I can't remember what shade this is, but it's like a gold iridescent shade. I just can't remember the name, but it's really pretty. This is really good for like any type of like bridal glam, soft glam. It gives a really like reflective little light sparkle to the eye. And then we're just going in with some liner. My favorite liner of all time is the Inglot black gel liner. Love Inglot. It's really creamy. I have like the little liquid thinner to thin the product out however thick or thin that you need it. And I make sure when you are doing liner on your client or whoever that you stretch the eye out first. You have to stretch the skin out on that eye so that you get a very clean and precise line. Switching over to clean that liner up, so we are using our Morphe M432 brush to really clean and cut the liner. Also, just think about when you are cleaning up that concealer, you don't have to work it in too hard with your little blending brush. You can just pat and work it in. But remember, we are going back in with our concealer shade, so you don't have to blend it out too much. You don't have to spend too much time on it. We're taking our concealer brush and really patting and dragging it along the concealer line, and just drag it from the outer edge of the eye all the way back to the temple. And we're going in and coating our lashes with some mascara really quickly using a disposable tip, of course, to keep things sanitary. And we're just really going in with the tip of the spoolie instead of the whole spoolie in general, just because it really coats the lashes really well. After that, of course, you want to go straight in with your falsies. We are using Violent Kitty's lashes. I love their lashes. We're actually using a corner lash. I'm a corner lash kind of girl. I love a good corner lash. It definitely lifts and makes the eye like very wispy, gives it that like cat effect that's really popular, and of course it's very like Bratzy tea. And we're letting that glue dry down just a little bit more before we really like get that melt going with like the lashes and the lash line. I like to just let the glue kind of like turn blue before it turns clear all the way. And that's kind of how you know, like, okay, like she's ready, she's drying. This is like the last time to like manipulate the lash as I need to. When applying strip lashes, I really like to utilize my fingers, my tweezers, and my little curlers, my little baby ones. But here's a pro tip. So right before you apply your strip lashes, you really want to go in with the eyelash curler, like a regular size eyelash curler, and really curl those falsies up. It's really going to lift the eye and help the lash sit better on the lash line. Trust me, it makes a total difference. As the glue is still drying down, of course you still want to manipulate that lash. So you're going to keep melting it in with the lash line and really like lifting that lash up. This is why using your lash curlers are so important, and to curl them before you apply it on, because it just helps lift that lash up and really like make the final strip lash look very seamless on the eye. Okay, so now we are moving on to the skin, honey, the skin, darling, and you are going to blend, okay? You're going to literally push that product into the skin. You can switch off in between your concealer brush and your foundation brush if you need to like kind of like melt the transitions between the two into the skin. And you see I'm just still pushing that product into the skin, and I'm really just blending out the edges mainly with that foundation brush. It's a really good shade to kind of melt the two transitions into the skin when it goes from the concealer to the blush and contour. It's a really good melter between the three and really create that seamless finish. And of course, if you need to, kind of go engage it as you work. But if you need to wipe off your brush from like any excess as you're blending, you can do so. Just take a clean paper towel and just wipe off any extra foundation or concealer or just product that gets caked in the brush. Shout out to these Real Technique brushes, honey. They are coming in for the win, Real MVP. I love Real Technique brushes down. Okay, they're really affordable, but still really high quality performance type of brush. Super dense, but like very fluffy at the same time. That's why they just give the best results in my opinion for that like airbrushed look. It gives you amazing coverage and blends out like a dream. As you can see, the concealer brush that I'm using to blend out the under eye is basically just a miniature version of the foundation brush that I was using from Real Technique, unless in this case it's a little bit more, it's not as dense as the foundation brush that I'm using. It's a little bit more on the fluffier side, which is really good because that way I can go in with that concealer brush to blend out any creams and liquids, and then I can go back in and apply any powders on top of it if I need to, which you'll be seeing me do shortly. Okay, so now it is time to snatch that nose up, honey. So we're going to take a small fluffy brush and we're just going to work that contour in front where the brow hairs start to grow and really work that product into the crease at the top next to our eye. And we're going to drag that product down and blend all the way down to the tip of the nose. And then we'll just complete the following steps on the other side. Really just kind of like using a wiping motion a little bit, but still keeping a very light hand. And then on the sides of the nose, you kind of just want to tap that product into the skin to really get a diffused and blended finish. And then you're going to go in with that concealer brush and really work that contour shade into the skin so that it meets with the concealer brush very well and gives it that snatched but seamless look. And you just want to pat that into the skin, mainly on the bridge of the nose, on the side of the nose. Not so much at the top where the brow hairs start to grow. We kind of want to keep that dimension a little bit. And then we're just gonna go in with a little fluffy brush. This may be my M507 brush, but it may be a 509. But we're just gonna go in and really try to keep that color and pigment in the center of the forehead to really keep that contrast. And you're just gonna take that concealer and just drag it down the center of the nose. But you kind of just want to tap it into the skin so that we still get it diffused, but it's still very snatched. Here's a little pro tip for the girls. You need to let that concealer on the nose, the highlight on the nose, kind of dry down a bit so that when you do go in and blend it out, it's a little bit stiff, and stiff in the sense where when you do go in and blend it out, the product isn't just moving around and gets muddy and stuff, because this is something that's really easy to get muddy with. So you kind of let it dry down a little bit so that when you go and blend it out, it still kind of stays in place. Like I said before, we're using that same blending brush that we use to blend out any liquids and creams to go in and add a little bit of powder under the eye. So this one we're using the Fenty, I think it's the Buttercup powder, or it's the yellow powder out of the Fenty powders. And I just tapped it a little bit in the brush and then tapped any excess off and just applied a little bit to the under eye. We're not baking quite yet, we're just setting that under eye. And I really like to go in and like layer my powders up on top of each other. So I kind of like to like just go in a little bit at a time because we're going to layer them up. So I'll go in and add a little bit to set it. You can like swish the brush around a little bit. It's not all just like a tapping motion. For this step, I kind of just really try to lightly work those powders into the skin to just kind of initially set before we like go in on top and like layer those powders up. Blush. It's blush time. Going in with my C530 brush. We are just tapping that into the skin, and I'm kind of using this blush to also lift the cheekbones and applying it slightly on the apples of the cheeks, but really focusing it out towards the temples, like out in the corner of the eye, kind of where that meets. And we're just patting that into the skin using One Size Blush in Girly Pop. Okay, it's a really nice berry tone for Kelly's skin tone. And there we go, we're going right back in with our foundation brush to make everything very seamless. Blend that blush and that contour in together very seamlessly, and just like making any cleanups. And just pat, pat, pat. You want to actually really work that into the skin. And just most important, remember to have fun with this. I like to cocktail shades and things like that, especially like blushes. So I believe we're going in with some type of orangey tone to also cocktail like that pink berry Barbie pink type of blush. And this is gonna like also warm her up a little bit as well. It's going to be so cute. And I can't remember the name of this brush that I'm using for the orangey blush, but it is a Morphie brush, and it also most importantly is a natural hair brush. Natural hair brushes are amazing for powders. I wouldn't necessarily use them for creams, but to blend out powders, they are chef's kiss. And I am a blush girly, okay? First and foremost, never forget. So we are going to go hand with our blush. Also keep in mind that once we add in our other powders, it is going to diffuse that blush out a bit. And blush is the first thing to fade in your makeup. So definitely keep that in mind. That's why you always need to go hand a little bit. Time to bake some cookies, girls. Italiana, we're going in and cutting in our nose contour with our little puff and that same Fenty yellow powder. We're starting to pat that into the skin and kind of drag it out to the temple, and we will be doing the same to the other side, keeping things cohesive. I really do enjoy a good powder puff. I really don't use sponges anymore. I'm usually just like a powder puff kind of girl. I feel like it gives the most perfect coverage. It applies very nicely in an even layer of powder onto the skin when baking. It also is really good to help blend out any creams and liquids as well. And pro tip, honey, do not forget to apply that powder on the back of the hand or the palm of the hand before you apply it to the face for that even layer, so that it's not too cakey, it's not too much on one side. You will have a lot more control of how much powder is being applied with the puff when you do that. Using our puff, we're just patting and working that into the skin, just using that powder to really bake into the skin, into our highlighted areas, so that she does not move. To set that nose highlight, you are going to pinch the powder puff and drag that powder down the middle of the nose. Setting that nose contour, we're going in and just tapping in a little bit of bronzer just to help set that nose contour into place. We're just going in to wipe off some of that bake off and just kind of like clean up the nose contour. I'm using that same under eye Real Techniques fluffy brush to clean up with some setting powder on the sides of the nose, just to get that really snatched look. Just going in to wipe off some of that bake off and just kind of like clean up the nose contour. I'm using that same under eye Real Techniques fluffy brush to clean up with some setting powder on the sides of the nose, just to get that really snatched look. We're really just going in to just like dust off the rest of that bake, get up all of the loose powder that is on the skin with like a really nice light hand and a swiping motion. And we're using our Morphie M530 brush. It's a natural hair brush. It's a natural kind of like fluffy brush. This is really, really good to work that bronzer into the skin. And what we're doing is just pushing that bronzer into the skin in the contour areas of the face. We want to leave a very soft airbrush finish, and this is going to help us do that. By tapping the bronzer in like this, it gets kind of hard to tell where the bronzer starts and stops, and vice versa with the blush. It just all kind of flows together. Right here, I'm really just melting that bronzer into the blush and just kind of get that seamless finish. Popping in under the eye with a little bit of that chocolate eyeshadow to make things cohesive and nice and smoky. Topping this look off with a beautiful nude lip, of course. And we're just going in with a nice brown lip liner. This is the Italiana lip liner off TikTok. Shout out to TikTok. TikTok shop has me in a chokehold like everybody else. But I'm just using this to mostly work that liner in the Cupid's bow, kind of overline the Cupid's bow. And everywhere else, I'm kind of just following her natural lip shape because our client has such beautiful lips naturally. So we're just kind of following that. And I mean, she already kind of has like a Bratzy type of lip, no? And you know, the best lip combos always consist of at least 3 products. So we just went in with a little pink lipstick on top, and then we're topping her off with a little pink gloss to give it that really cute, girly, Bratzy vibe. Lastly, of course, we're just working that setting spray in, hitting her with the finishing touches, and going back in with that foundation brush just to kind of work anything in to give it really like that melted finish, where it also is going to last her all day. Thank you so much, guys, for watching my video. Please like, share, subscribe. This is my cute little Bratz look on my beautiful client Kelly. See you next time.